Hello, and thanks for joining us on this fabulous Friday. I'm Jurnee Taylor, and here are some of the headlines we're following now at noon. U.S. Marshals need your help locating a murder suspect. What you need to know about the man on your screen in less than 2 minutes. Hearing loss is common for older adults. Just ahead, we'll share the possible risk for you or your loved one if you aren't wearing hearing aids if they are needed. Plus, it's time to say goodbye to an Emmy-nominated Amazon favorite. That is Mrs. Maisel. And she's taking a bow in her final season. Everything you need to know to make sure you don't miss the first episode at 12:21. But of course, we also want to check in with meteorologist Scott Covert. Scott, we made it to Friday. What do we have in store for this weekend?
You know, it's been such a beautiful week. We've had comfortable temperatures. It's been dry, but that begins to change tonight. We begin first with what's happening right now. 75 in Little Rock and 77 in Pine Bluff. It's going to be a warm afternoon. We're actually looking at highs likely for many of us in the low 80s. We're going to hang on to plenty of sunshine, a few clouds passing through the area. No major concerns with today. It's tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening that severe weather likely makes its return to the natural state. A level 3 potential in effect for most of central Arkansas. No matter where you're at in the natural state, you've got some level of severe storms. Primarily, we're looking at large hail and some storms. Not many, but some storms very well could be capable of quarter to tennis ball size hail. That's going to be on our minds tomorrow as we're tracking those storms through the area. Some damaging winds in excess of 60, upwards of 70 miles per hour. Certainly possible as that line develops and moves through the state. And while the tornado threat is low, it's not zero, so we'll need to keep track of those storms for that as well. Good news is storms will come to an end by Sunday. Temperatures warming back up going into next week, back in the 80s. But we also find additional chances of rain by midweek. There's a few twists and turns as we head into the weekend. We'll break it all down here coming right up.
A Little Rock man, Danny Brown, is wanted in the murder of his wife, and it's been more than a week now since he's been on the run. Officers want him off the street. THV 11's Ashley Godwin reports.
Yeah, he should be considered armed and highly dangerous.
On March 27th, around 4 in the afternoon, police say Danny Brown went to his estranged wife's house on Fairley Drive in Little Rock.
The information we have is that Danny Brown entered the house. I guess maybe an argument ensued. He allegedly shot his wife, and she later succumbed to those injuries at a nearby hospital.
It's been over a week since that happened, and police are looking to get Brown behind bars, including the U.S. Marshal's Office, who has been asked to help.
Well, of course, we want to do this as safely as possible. We don't want anyone to get hurt, including Danny Brown. Preferably, we'd rather Danny Brown just turn himself in, do the right thing.
Police have gotten close to arresting him, but they say he's made it clear he will not be taken in quietly.
One of our biggest tips, I guess, came from Danny Brown himself. He actually called the Little Rock Police Department, gave a statement to them, and then made the statement that he would basically either harm himself or harm others if he was ever cornered by, anyone, especially law enforcement.
If you see Danny Brown or know where he is, police ask that you not approach him because he is considered armed and dangerous. You should call the U.S. Marshal's Office instead. In Little Rock, Ashley Godwin, THV 11 News.
The Air National Guardsman arrested in connection with a months-long intelligence leak made his first court appearance this morning in Boston. He faces 2 separate counts related to the authorized retention and transmission of national defense information and classified documents. Willie James Emmon has more on the investigation into how the suspect may have gotten his hands on such highly sensitive information.
21-year-old Air National Guardsman Jack Tashira appeared in Boston federal court Friday, facing charges under a provision in the Espionage Act for allegedly obtaining and leaking highly sensitive national defense information. His family ignored questions outside court. With the American flag flapping in the wind outside his mother's front door, heavily armed federal agents made the swift arrest Thursday in a crime that went undetected for several months.
This was a deliberate criminal act.
The Pentagon first discovered some of its most highly classified documents posted on social media a week ago, although the leak began last fall when the material surfaced on a gaming platform called Discord.
It begs the question is, how did he have access to this most highly classified information?
The 21-year-old seen here in the uniform he is accused of betraying had a job that may have enabled him to monitor sensitive networks. Tashira installed fiber optic cable at a military base in Massachusetts.
Speaking overseas Thursday, President Biden expressed concern about the leak, but downplayed any great consequence from the breach.
It's an embarrassment, and I am sure that our allies are just horrified by it.
Virginia Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is a former CIA officer.
We'll never be able to pull all of that information back from the internet, wiped from a place where our adversaries will be able to see it.
The Department of Defense launched an investigation into how the material was circulating online for several months before the Pentagon detected it. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the suspect is being held until his next court appearance set for next Wednesday. Now, one of the charges carries a possible decade-long prison sentence. Now to our continuing coverage of the devastating tornado that ripped through parts of central Arkansas. Today marks 2 weeks since the lives of many Arkansans changed forever. Despite the passing of time, the after effects of the tornado are still fresh in the minds of the many Arkansans who lost their homes that day. People in several cities are trying to find a new place to call home, and yesterday, the Department of Human Services announced a new program to help. It's a group effort between DHS, Red Cross, and the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management. Now together, they're moving displaced people into hotels and motels to help them get back on their feet. Joanne Woody with Red Cross says they work with people on a case-by-case basis, so there's no exact time frame on how long it would take to move them. But if there's any delays with finding a hotel room, they can stay at the congregate shelters and churches in the meantime.
It can take, varying amounts of time, and because there's so many variables that go into this. We're working with multiple sites across the entire impact areas.
For now, this is a temporary solution, but according to DHS, there's a long-term housing plan in the works, but no details have been released on what that looks like just yet. And looking ahead to tomorrow in Little Rock, volunteers are invited to help with Impact the Rock. It's a day committed to unity and service, but this year it's especially important because of the tornado damage. Volunteers will help clean up neighborhoods, and they'll be split up into 3 locations across the affected areas. If you want to go, the city says you should bring water and gloves, wear sunscreen, and sign up at littlerock.gov/volunteer. The city is particularly looking for volunteers with pickups, flatbed, trailers, or dump trucks to help haul debris to the collection site at Reservoir Park. And now happening today, FEMA and the state of Arkansas are opening new disaster recovery centers in Jacksonville and Sherwood. The one in Jacksonville is at First United Methodist Church. That's 308 West Main Street. And in Sherwood, the facility is located at the Wildwood Center and Medical Tower. That's at 2402 Wildwood Avenue. At these locations, storm victims can meet with specialists to get questions answered and even documents needed for disaster assistance applications. The centers will be open every day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And in North Little Rock, the tornado relief headquarters that was located on Pike is now in a new location. All FEMA operations, American Red Cross, Small Business Association, and others can now be found at 2700 Willow Street. That is at the North Little Rock Community Center. For more details, you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Services are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Over in Jacksonville, they're making progress cleaning things up. Since Tuesday, volunteers have been getting together to work on Dupree Park. It's one of the area's hardest hit spots. We've been keeping track, and you can see plenty has been accomplished already. Cabot Parks and Recreation also lending a helping hand. They'll be taking donations all month long at their parks, and all the proceeds will go towards helping Jacksonville. Now, as we've heard from disaster response officials, the honeymoon period is over. Now is the time when Arkansans need support the most, and we made it easy to help you get connected. You can text the word GIVE to 501-376-1111, and we'll send you a link straight to your cell phone. Well, ahead of the weekend, we have a traffic alert to pass along. A major road in North Little Rock will temporarily close for the entire weekend. Now here's a live look at the area preparing for construction. Crews there will demolish the existing I-30 westbound bridge that impacts Broadway Street. Now that's going to start tonight at 10 p.m. and go to 5 a.m. on Monday morning. Drivers can expect to see detours along Broadway Street in North Little Rock. So crews will close Broadway Street between South Cypress and North Locust Streets. So if you are traveling in the area, westbound traffic on Broadway Street will need to take the northbound Frontage Road to Bishop Lindsay Avenue and then take the southbound Frontage Road and return to Broadway Street. Traffic moving eastbound on Broadway Street with a detour to Poplar Street to take Riverfront Drive and then return to Broadway Street. Again, this starts tonight at 10 p.m. and that area, or Broadway Street, will stay closed until 5 a.m. on Monday morning, and that's April 17th. Well, doctors say hearing loss is a part of aging, but are you aware that aging, not treating it properly, can lead to other health issues like dementia? In about 7 minutes, we talk about the prevention and the guidance you need to hear. But first, we have a quick check of what's happening outside. Scott?
And it's really what's not happening outside. It is beautiful out there. Only a few clouds in the sky. Now, while it's been nice this week, our attention is focused on tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as severe weather likely to return to the state. We'll track it and talk about the timing when we return.